Namaskar. Hello and welcome to P Guru's channel. I'm your host 𝗝eci Iyer. Joining me Shekhar Iyer ji as we take a look at what happened in the last few hours and the aftermath. So let's welcome Shekhar Iyer ji. Shekhar ji, namaskar and welcome to P Guru's channel. How are you, sir?
Namaskar, Namaskar, Sherji, Namaskar. This has been events of several ups and downs, and I think this is one of the world's shortest ceasefires. Shortest,
Yes,
because
yes, indeed.
and somebody tells me the
Report.
last such short ceasefire was in during the Bosnian War. There was a brief, and that lasted a couple of hours. This is just for about 90 minutes, because it was announced at 5 p.m. and it was over by 6:30 p.m. Yes, Sherji.
Yes, so I have some inside information, and I mean, for what it's worth, I'm going to share it here. Looks like this ceasefire was brokered by Nawaz Sharif, who was sitting in London, and looks like somehow he has some hold with America. America came in and said that you don't do this thing now, you're not getting the $1.1 billion aid. And I think that means that Asim Munir was not really happy because he was getting his arm twisted. And well, they announced it, but looks like he's expressing his displeasure by doing what he's doing, that he has been doing. This appears to be the case. Now, Shehbaz Sharif and Asim Munir are not on the same page. Is there a time for a coup now? Who knows? Let's, at least if it happens, you heard it first here. Over to Shekhar Iyer ji. I know you have a different perspective.
No, well, sir, what you said is also quite credible in the sense Nawaz Sharif is known to be a person who has always favored a kind of a dialogue with India. And if you recall, in '99, it was under his prime ministership that Atal Bihari Vajpayee, as Indian Prime Minister, got into a bus from Amritsar and drove into Lahore. And that was hailed as one of the very genuine efforts at trying to resolve the India-Pakistan relationship issue. But then, even as Vajpayee was in Lahore and even addressed the people of Pakistan from Minar-e-Pakistan, which is the monument dedicated to recall Muslim League's first resolution calling for a separate homeland for Muslims. So Vajpayee conveyed the goodwill message from India that India genuinely wishes Pakistan well. But even as that was happening, the General Musharraf, who was the chief of our Pakistani army, was almost finalizing the Kargil invasion. And then rest is history. We know what happened. And subsequently, Nawaz Sharif was very disappointed in several interviews he has given. Then he fell out of favor with the army. Then he had to leave Pakistan. He was charged with corruption, etc., etc. Then by then, the Pakistani army were fascinated with Imran Khan, so they made him the prime minister. Even that marriage didn't work well; it collapsed. And today, sir, I'm mentioning this though there are no credible or authentic information to support us. There has been a lot of rumors about Imran Khan. That Imran Khan is in jail in Rawalpindi. And a few weeks ago, there were reports that he was assaulted, probably sexually assaulted by inmates in a Rawalpindi jail. And then later, he was taken for examination to the Pakistan Institute of Medical Sciences. Now, this is what we heard. And after that, there was no denial, but definitely his party, even some of his family members have been saying his life is in danger. But today, sometime just around the time when the ceasefire was being announced, first by Trump through a tweet, and then later the Indian Foreign Secretary, came and made a very, very brief statement. Then it was that time this news spread, rather I would say speculation as to whether Imran Khan is dead. Now, people were forced to think that Pakistan was on its knees for two reasons. One, the kind of hammering they have got in the past 48 hours. I mean, their air bases have been knocked out. The air defense systems were out the previous night. And then they have also realized that their airspace is free now. Indian military aircrafts can go deep inside and can bomb the hell out of them. So that's the time when probably they realize that despite they sending so many missiles, so many kamikaze drones, India has been able to repulse all of them, both through kinetic and non-kinetic. I will dwell on this. What are the non-kinetic ways we throttled about more than 300 to 400 drones and missiles that came? But what is coming clear is that the villain of the peace, the whole peace, is Pakistan Army and remains so, because soon after the ceasefire, within I would say even less than an hour probably, we are taking it as 90 minutes. We saw what was happening in LOC. They even attempted to fire close to the Vaishno Devi shrine. So you can see, the Director General of Military Operation, calls up his Indian counterpart around 3:30 or so and seeks a ceasefire, because the whole day has been pictures of the condition of Pakistan runway. Pakistan, the runways in the air bases, at least in 3 places, which had been knocked out, which would not enable any aircraft to take off, and sending a message. And also a number of ammunition depots were also damaged. Now, Pakistan sought ceasefire. There is no doubt about it, because soon after Trump's announcement, Pakistan Prime Minister thanked Trump profusely. Trump thanked, Shehbaz Sharif thanked Trump, saying that, you have done a great thing for us and this will make us move forward. But then, as you mentioned, General Asif Munir has had other ideas. But then I think he wants to go down as one of the stupidest generals that Pakistan has had. I'm saying stupidest because there have been several stupid ones before. And but one thing is clear, sir. What I gathered was the Prime Minister office was not too happy about Trump announcing it, because it was made out that it was made clear that it is Pakistan which has sought the ceasefire and India has agreed, because earlier in the day India has made it out very clear. Look, at every stage Pakistan is escalating and we are not escalating. Though there are criticism at home that why is Prime Minister Narendra Modi letting go this opportunity? Why can't he take the Operation Sindoor to the logical conclusion? But then, sir, this kind of operations are not T20 matches where you have to you don't walk with a trophy, because these are long-standing things. But our approach has been to get optimum results, and whatever I gather from my sources here at the government, they tell me that almost 75 to 80% in terms of Pakistan military infrastructure has suffered a severe hit. That's good enough in the sense it'll take them at least 6 months to make it somewhat operationable. But by then, India has also declared a policy doctrine today, which came just ahead of the ceasefire announcement by Trump, which is that India's new doctrine on this is any act of terrorism will be taken as an act of war. Now, this formulation is just in one sentence, but it came just a few minutes before Trump announced that how his team had been working nights to get both countries to work together and blah blah blah, things like that. But then I think even either Trump knows that they had to go through this motion to show that the Pakistan so-called friends were indeed working on its appeal to get India to cease fire. But the way the Pakistan army has acted, in fact, I would be dwelling at the later portion as to how silly Pakistan army is, and Pakistan army is a force that can't fight. In the last 4 days, what we have seen is that they have been missing targets, they have been hitting innocents, they have been hitting religious places, a gurdwara, a church, a convent. I mean, on this side, on our side, and this is not a very professional army would, of course, Pakistan army was never considered a professional army. But then there is no strategy. I mean, no one knows why they started this episode in Pahalgam, in which 25 Hindus were chosen among the tourists and were killed in cold blood in front of their wives and their spouses and family members. And India had to respond, and it had the support of the US and other countries which felt India had to do something and India had the right. That's how it all started. But then India made it very clear. The first was all the what India has mapped as terrorist training centers, terrorist headquarters, particularly 2 notorious ones, Jaish-e-Mohammed as well as Lashkar-e-Taiba. And and what followed was, it is Pakistan which thought that it had to show something. Otherwise, there was a talk in Pakistan, their generals would get lynched by these very people who are now being called by the defense minister, Pakistan defense minister, as the second line of defense, which means almost admitting. And the other thing before all of us, on record, was when these the so-called second line of defense, these leaders who were killed in the Indian attack, when they were being given the final honors before their burial, you saw a number of army generals at the funeral in Bahawalpur. Their coffins were draped with Pakistani flag. Bouquets were laid on behalf of the Chief of Army Staff. I mean, as if they are part and parcel of Pakistan Army. And that's what Defense Minister 𝗏𝗏𝗏 said. He said, look, he said that these are our second line of defense. And not only that, he also said that we could not hit back so hard on them. We have everything, but we didn't do it because that would have given away our position. I mean, that kind of a stupid thing being said on the floor of the Pakistan National Assembly, which also saw a number of members of parliament, some of them retired generals, army officers who are members of parliament. I mean, they were crying, saying, what the hell is happening? I think Sachin has got something for us. Let's hear.
मदारस के स्टूडेंट्स का ताल्लुक है, इसमें कोई शक नहीं है कि वो हमारी एक सेकंड डिफेंस लाइन है। वहाँ पे नौजवान जो पढ़ते हैं, अल्लाह के फजल से वो दीन के साथ भी जो है आरास्ता हैं, और उसके साथ जो है वो उनके जो वक्त ज़रूरत जो है, जिस तरह उन्होंने फरमाया कि उनको शहरी दिफा के लिए या दूसरी ज़रूरतों के लिए जो है ना बिल्कुल 100% इस्तेमाल किया जा सकता है।
So there, that the open admission that these Jaish-e-Mohammed and Lashkar-e-Taiba, and there are so many other groups with various names, and these days they are dropping their Islamic names, like they have done in Jammu Kashmir. They call the new formation as the Resistance Front. In one of our episodes, we had said that this is largely to make them appealing to the so-called human rights groups in the West, who can easily take up their cause if they don't have an Islamist name. And sir, coming back to the ceasefire, it was very clear the manner in which our Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri announced, and it was very clear. He said, "Look, this is nothing is changing. On the appeal of the Pakistan DGMO, they initiated this call. They spoke to our Indian counterpart. And on that basis, the call was initiated at 3:30 p.m. And an understanding was that, they would not violate this agreement, and they would not attack civilian areas. They will not attack military installations. And it was also made clear there is no decision to hold any talks anywhere at any other place. And we are told that the Pakistan DGMO, that's the Director General of Military Operation, told Indian counterparts that Pakistan would not undertake any more such strikes that we saw the last 48 hours. And they specifically requested a ceasefire. That's information coming from our Foreign Office, that they wanted a ceasefire because everything was going on. Even this morning, Prime Minister had reviewed the whole situation with the service chiefs as well as the National Security Advisor and Defense Minister. I mean, it was going on plans, and it was expected even today would be another night of, a fierce counter-offensive by India. But whatever has happened yesterday was, I would say yesterday, I mean till this morning, and even during the day also, we saw India returning with such ferocity, in the sense that attacking their bases, attacking their systems. And sir, even on the first day, you will see that it was all terrorist pads, both in Pakistan and LOC. The second day, when Pakistan wanted to avenge for that and started sending missiles and drones to attack our our bases, our military installations along the border, particularly in the 4 states. I mean, starting from Bhuj in Gujarat and right up to Leh Ladakh, the whole thing was on alert. And that's the time we realized that we had to tell them, look, don't play this game. So our missiles were fired at their defense systems, air defense system, which all collapsed. Then subsequently, once that collapsed and there was panic in Islamabad, Lahore, in streets in Sialkot, so much of panic on the streets of many small and big towns of Pakistan. It was then they came with this mad idea of firing more than 300, 400 what is called kamikaze drones, which are what are called hovering drones or loitering. The word used is loitering drones, in the sense they carry a heavy payload. They can be made to loiter for some time and then drop their payload or the bomb wherever they want to. And our military analysts here in India, senior retired general, said that this was a tactics to see all along the border where is the place where the drone gets a free entry and can then map it back to the controllers that this is one spot in the sector where they are not being checked, so that subsequently a powerful missile could be fired using those parameters. But sir, initially when this happened, that they have fired 400 drones and missiles and India has repulsed them, there was a criticism in this country that they sent those cheap missiles, and some of it didn't have even ammunition to show that they were just on a probing mission or a reconnaissance mission. And our answer was that we didn't repulse these 400 drones and missiles by firing one of those expensive, sophisticated missiles or drones, which you have acquired in the last 1 decade. Rather, we chose, in some cases, we did use kinetic methods. Kinetic methods in the sense that you send a projectile to repulse it, you send a missile. But a lot of it was downed by what is called non-kinetic. And non-kinetic, I gather, sir, which is you confuse the drone by jamming their GPS system, their programming, that so much of signals are fed from this side. The drone gets confused and it just drops. And that's how the one dropped so close to Delhi. That's it sits in Haryana. Because this is a very normal non-kinetic method. Because in the briefing this morning, the Air Force officer, Wing Commander Yomika Singh did mention this, that we also employed non-kinetic methods, in the sense that we can send a lot of confusing signals, a lot of communication things, which will, because it is already has an embedded communication pattern, where this get confused that just the drone doesn't know what to do and just drops. And that's what happened. And because a lot of them were down and some of them fell in areas close to where human habitations were, then there was a lot of panic on our side too. But the big thing that is coming is, sir, in this announcement today, ceasefire, because the ceasefire has collapsed. But even in the announcement itself, India knew what was coming, because there was no mention of suspension of anything. That the fact that Indus water treaty is in abeyance, that stays. That the level of engagement which has been called off at all levels, that stays. And there is no question of India's decision to construct, to diversion of waters of the 3 rivers which are flowing northwards. So nothing had changed actually. But then in terms of pros and cons, as soon as the ceasefire was announced, there were a number of criticisms saying, why isn't Modi taking it to logical conclusion? This is not the time to call off. What have we got? Why are we playing this game? And the criticism was, fairly, I would say that there was disappointment, that you have made gains, you have thrashed the hell out of them, and why are you letting them go now? Because they will again come back with a couple of months. This was agitating a lot of Indians who watched the news of ceasefire, which was sort of an anti-climax. Shreyarji.
Thank you so much, Shekharji. So a lot of things here. Trump thought he could steal the limelight by going first with the message. But then India was not saying it was a ceasefire. It was just said cessation of firing till 12 o'clock on the 12th or something like that, 12th sometime. And, exactly. And this somehow seems to have, we don't know. Sometimes politicians are not that precise with their language. We know diplomats are. because diplomats, the definition of a diplomat, fun. I mean, all the diplomats that are around now are very, very smart. A diplomat is one who tells you to go to hell in such a way that you actually look forward to it. So maybe Trump just jumped the gun and said there is going to be ceasefire, and both have agreed. But be that as it may, the call happened. Within 1.5 hours, they have started firing. And now I'm hearing that the firing is very close to Vaishno Devi. So again, it's the same old book. Playbook is to try and create some sort of a communal divide, get the Hindus angry, and then see if they can, go after some of the minorities in India. This is not something that is going to augur well for them. Shekhar, tell us a little bit. Now, BSF has been given complete authority to deal with the situation as they see fit. Now, what it is believed, what Pakistan has done is in POJK, where there are easy access points to come into India, they have given that land to retired Pakistani army people from Punjab. So they have basically Punjabified some critical sections of POJK. In fact, I'm hearing that even the language spoken there now is not Kashmiri but Punjabi. So that is the amount of impact these people have. So today, with this ceasefire violation, do you think India might go the extra mile and say, okay, I'm going to root out some of these rascals on the other side? That was the question, sir.
No, sir, the point is what we are looking at is, because this question has come, will this be the time that India will take over POK? Now, not that it is not a military objective, not that it cannot be achieved. Well, given our firepower, our manpower, our superior technology, which was in evidence in the last 4 days, it's something that it's a doable. But the whole question is, what do we do after that? Because our whole idea is make it such a costly exercise for Pakistan that if you knock out all these, that second time they won't attempt another Pahalgam kind of episode. Because, getting to annex POK and all is a good, it's definitely an objective. Even our parliament passed a resolution way back in early 90s when Narasimha Rao government was there. There is a parliament resolution that says that the parliament and people of India have resolved that those areas will have to be merged back, will have to be taken back, will have to return to India. So this is an objective which is there. But only the question is, when do we do it, and when do we do it at our advantage? Because once you do it, because the idea is the kind of plans I hear which have been worked out in our defense headquarters and our war rooms is that once you get some areas under control, then you're going to hold on to them. Because several times you had even gone closer to Lahore, even during the previous wars. But we always held back from occupying it or holding on to it because there is a cost in holding it also. There is a cost in annexing it. So are we ready now? Because Prime Minister is very keen. There is a time for everything. And at this moment, Pakistan is already imploding. Several things are happening. Balochistan, today, there was a lot of activity in Balochistan where reports coming saying that scores of Pakistani troopers have been killed by Baluchi rebels who are have revived their war plans, because this is the time the Pakistan military is at its weakest moment and all self-created. Similarly, sir, even the talk of India taking over the chicken neck on our eastern borders with Bangladesh, because after all those statements by even the Bangladesh chief advisor Mohammad Yunus saying that how the northeastern parts of India are landlocked, and how Bangladesh holds the key, and in reference to the chicken neck. So there has been a proposal even that should be annexed, because that will give us more control over that area and will not allow any other country to have an access there, particularly China or Pakistan through Bangladesh. Now, that being apart, I think what we are going to see more is today's whatever is happening, India is replying now. You could see another night where India will again, whatever 20% of military infrastructure that is left, that will also get trashed. But why did India go through this motion? I think it was rather, the point is, at no stage we want to give that optics that India is falling out with US President Trump. because that's a kind of optics that will help China. That will make the mad generals in Pakistan even more mad. We don't want to give that impression, because we wanted to show that, well, Americans are wanting it because the Pakistan was insisting. And as you mentioned in your opening remarks, that the $2.3 billion that IMF bailout, probably the $1 billion is supposed to tied to Pakistan refraining from such activities. That's what I also got to hear. But I think Prime Minister Modi wanted the Trump to feel that he has done something, because it's a way of his image building, and India did not mind, because knowing fully well, given the propensity of the Pakistani army generals, they would again do something very quickly and lose whatever the opportunity or the window that this ceasefire could have given, because we all along know that they will again do the same thing. As they say in Tamil, sir, the dog's tail can never be straightened. Naai wala nimutta mudiyadu. You can never straighten it.
कुत्ते की धूम टेढ़ी की टेढ़ी.
So, I mean, nobody expected this to last, because everybody has been talking. There are going to be two phases in this Operation Sindoor. Probably the first operation, which is going on, and it will go on further. And this new, definition of our, act of terrorism, that itself has been conveyed to Americans. Look, you may try to ceasefire, you may try to put pressure on. We are not asking you to stop, because we are not asking you to do anything with them. Because that era is over, when India is to, tell Americans to put pressure on Islamabad to refrain from. Now we are on our own. The Americans know it. And that's why initial reactions of Trump was, sir, Trump also feels if some of those elements in Pakistan need to be completely extinguished, let India do the job, because those guys are no friends of America also. Given a chance, they would hit America harder than India. So everybody knows, and so also are the other countries, including Saudi Arabia. Sir, can you imagine, one of the disclosures made during the defense briefing yesterday was that Pakistan deliberately used a Saudi airliner, a civilian aircraft coming from Yemen to probably going to Lahore or Islamabad.
Dammam to, I think, Sialkot or something.
Yeah, and they used it on that. They used it as a cover, and so that any number of India's missiles or drones could bring down a civil airliner, and thereby India would be seen as the rogue state which had brought down a civil plane. Russia did it to a Malaysian jet, we know it, and there was nothing. There was not even an apology when a Malaysian airline plane went down mysteriously. So, so the question is, India has accepted this new definition of our doctrine. That's no doubt about it. And with this, the whole thing started heating up again. The disappointment among a number of Indians tonight has again evaporated, and they are happy that the ceasefire is over and the thrashing will be back. Because, sir, even the DGMO, they are running to Americans. Then the DGMO, picking up his phone and talking to his counterpart is largely because of the kind of thrashing they have got in the last 48 hours. That's why, again, I return to a Tamil proverb, sir. Adi udavara mari annam thambi udava mata. Nothing.
Sir, लातों के भूत बातों से नहीं मानते.
Well, you have given a Hindi version of it, but I thought the Tamil version sounds much more graphic, which says that nothing comes to rescue rather than a good thrashing. In the sense that whoever needs to be thrashed has to be thrashed, because where reasoning doesn't work, where natural tendency to be a nuisance is more, only a good tight slap, as they say. I don't know what is a tight slap, but a good tight slap is supposed to help these matters. So be as it may, sir, but that brings us to another question. I think we are discussing not Pakistan, the country, but in all our discussions, in all our conversations, this point is coming. Ye Pakistan army hai cheez kya hai? Kya kar rahe? Why do they do it? Why? Any army, and they are more worried about the optics than real strategy. And is Pahalgam was an idea to spoil Kashmir, the growth, or put hurdles to ensure that the clock comes back, or is it something they cannot stop themselves from doing something or the other to upset everyone, and they get the pleasure out of it, and for that matter, they may not mind this thrashing. But this is a kind of thrashing they have not seen, sir, not even in 71. Yes, they saw a lot of damage to Karachi port and other places. But here in a peacetime, without a declaration of a formal war, and without our army moving to forward areas, it's still under BSF control. Whereas this morning we heard Pakistan army had moved some of its units to the forward areas. And people were even debating, if they are moving it, why are we going to move? Sir, after Parliament attack, if you remember in 2001, one of the largest army mobilization took place where we moved our forces all along the border. And it looked like an imminent attack on Pakistan for Pakistan's audacity and the work behind this attack on Parliament. But then those were days of, period where it did not think that we should give another option. There was so much of pressure from Americans, and India later pulled back. Now, similarly, sir, there was one window for a kind of a strong military action. That was in 2008. And that was when we saw when Mumbai was attacked by 10 Pakistani militants, terrorists, who came by sea and landed in Colaba and other places, and then went about madly killing people. Nearly 166 people lost lives, including some Americans, some Israelis. I mean, that was a horrible kind of massacre. But at that time too, sir, our armed forces, I remember Air Marshal Fali Major, being candid about it, saying that we did take a proposal for retaliatory measures. We took the proposal to the Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, but the Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, after consultation with Congress President Sonia Gandhi, did not want to go ahead, did not want us to go ahead. So all the time, we have been restraining ourselves, but this is the first time we have seen that with so much of anger. And sir, apart from what is happening on the border, elsewhere in the country, a number of political parties, probably for political reasons, we saw Karnataka Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shivkumar taking out a rally in support of India's action against Pakistan. The previous day, there was Telangana CM Revant Reddy doing it. And today, Stalin, took out a rally in support of our armed forces. So, of course, the joke is that Pakistan wanted a ceasefire because Stalin took out a rally in support of our armed forces. I mean, that's a joke doing the rounds on the social media. Now, I mean, that's being the case. I think we need to look at the kind of things that the Pakistan army has done in the last few days. I would like to elaborate on them. Sir, before that, Sherji, over to you.
Thank you so much, sir. So one question that I'm having in my mind is, how does an IMF loan find its way into Pakistan? It must be coming into the Pakistani Reserve Bank or something, or Bank of Pakistan or something like that. And then there is, budget that will be presented to cover all these different aspects and things of nature. I'm wondering if something different happened this time, and that the keys to that were given to Shehbaz Sharif, and maybe this is an eruption of anger against that. Just using loud, Shekharji. So whatever US push this happened now, will this end up being a blunder? Last question, sir, and then we can go for Q&A.
Well, sir, one thing is there. When you hear the figures, huge figures like $7 billion a loan has already been given, and this is an extra $2.3 billion, of which there is a component of 1.3 under different head and $1 billion different head. This money is not going to come in one go. They are going to be part of projects, and probably several projects which will be approved. And even as implementation of those projects take place in stages, and there is a compliance report, and the money will keep flowing. But then with whatever money previously flown from World Bank or IMF, Pakistan is known to have diverted this money for defense purposes, on spending it on themselves, particularly army. Pakistan Army is notorious for diverting public funds for its officers, for corrupt deals. This has happened before, so one is not be surprised that this is going to happen. So that's not surprising. So therefore, quite possible, sir, because if you are going to ask somebody for money and you have been in and out of Special Action Task Force between 2015 and 2025, they have been in and out of 4 or 5 times where money was stopped. This Financial Action Task Force consists of countries that lend money to Pakistan. That includes America, Germany, UK. These are the countries that give money to Pakistan. And many times they got delayed. They were put in what is called a grey list. But this time, even before going to them for money, they did it. Of course, some people are reading it as this is a Trump way of insulting Modi. He continues to dangle a carrot before Pakistan as well as before India. But it is a Pakistan that gets to eat the carrot and India gets nothing. Well, people have been finding fault with the government approach even this time. Nothing new about it. But I think from the information I gathered, the Prime Minister's office, our Prime Minister's office, was not too happy that Trump, was trying to appear as if he had intervened and got it done. Well, India respected of Washington's offer because we have always held it's between us. And that's why, sir, repeatedly it was made clear today by our foreign ministry officials to the media that this disengagement which Pakistan sought and India agreed was done at a direct level, in the sense that there was no third party. Because we have always said we don't need a third party to intervene in this. So that's a position. And if this ceasefire has evaporated in 90 minutes, I don't know how it is going to be put together again because America could also be equally exasperated by what the Pakistan has done. Despite trying to put together some kind of a plan for ceasefire, it has just broken it at will. Sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Now let's take a few questions. Let's start with 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗘𝗦. Thank you so much, Karthik. 𝗥𝗘𝗙, this chance is once in 70 years to break Pakistan, but Modi caved to Trump. Minimum we should demand it at wanted terrorists. BJP won't last forever. Congress will bring back aman ki asha.
Well, some people are comparing with the 1971 war. And when 93,000 Pakistani soldiers surrendered and they were taken as POWs, prisoners of war. And we kept them, we fed them in our camps. And finally, they were just let go. Because Mrs. Gandhi did not, at the time, the criticism against her was, why did she let them go like this? Why did not India settle the Kashmir issue then and then? And subsequently, there was, of course, the Shimla Agreement when Zulfikar Ali Bhutto as Prime Minister, along with his daughter Benazir, went to Shimla and met Indira Gandhi, and the Shimla Agreement of 72 was signed, which basically said that they will sort out their problems by mutual discussions rather than allow any third-party interference. But for having 90,000 plus soldiers, in exchange, India could have got anything because their families were mounting pressure in Pakistan for the release. And many of them were war criminals because the kind of atrocities that were committed in then Pakistan. Even a government like headed by Mohammad Yunus feels that Pakistan must apologize for the genocide of 1971. But why did India let go like that? So a similar criticism is being made this time that with so much of achievements. But then what I don't understand, sir, the people who were very upset with India's bashing up of Pakistan, to use a term, the last 2-3 days, they were the ones who started seeking aman ki asha, peace, peace, peace. But they are also party of that ecosystem that was challenging Modi to act, saying, why haven't you acted? Congress leaders, Rahul Gandhi as well as Kharge, kept on saying, why have we not acted against Pakistan? Why have we not done anything? But those very people, and finally they when this happened, it surprised that Modi actually gave the go-ahead for this retaliatory strikes. And all the time maintaining that we are not escalating, it's the Pakistan which is doing. Even today's ceasefire violations are largely because Pakistan army doesn't want a peace. They don't want any peace, some kind of a solution to the current crisis. So therefore, I think this will back and forth, because one of the Congress tweets today said we are missing Indira Gandhi. As if Indira Gandhi in this situation would have been any different than when she was in 1971-72, when she let go those 90,000 prisoners back home to Pakistan.
Next question. Thank you, Explore World. Shift half front to 2 new formed countries out of Pakistan.
Well, sir, that's the thing. I don't think we need to do anything, because if you look at what is happening in Pakistan, the center, in the sense the Pakistan center is unable to hold, because there are several centrifugal and centripetal forces working in Pakistan. It is by sheer force that Pakistan has been able to hold things together, but then things are falling apart. We know what is happening in the border with Afghanistan. We know about Balochistan. That's why people, the last 2-3 days, have been saying that there is an open rebellion in Quetta, and it's just a matter of time before you see a situation like that we saw in 71 in East Pakistan. So therefore, eventually I don't think the Pakistan is going to live up to the whatever dream its founders had, people like Muhammad Ali Jinnah, because it's getting difficult, and given the economic crisis that Pakistan is going through. But then, sir, there is one point I think we need to touch upon, is the role played by Turkey in this. That many of the drones that fell, the drones among those 300, 400 drones that were, the drones that fell, and when they were examined, they were found to be of Turkish make. So people are asking whether when a Turkish aircraft was sighted on April 28th at one of the Pakistani airports or air bases, and that time it was suspected that it had brought ammunition, and particularly this kind of missiles and ammunitions, and particularly drones, kamikaze drones. So this speculation has been there. Of course, subsequently it was denied. And we have a breaking news that where 4 terrorists came in army dress and beheaded 2 people in Nagrota, which is just 30 kilometers from Katra. So, and that is this means, I think there is no more room left to even mention the word ceasefire. Shekhar.
Thank you, sir. Let's keep it fast because there are a fair amount of questions to go. Krishna Kishore fell for Pakistan bluff. Also comment on ISI killing Imran Khan. I don't think that happened, guys. Just ignore that for a minute. Sir, about Trump and Modi.
Sir, as I said, Modi didn't want that optics to go, that he doesn't like Trump trying to play the peace broker here. And he didn't want to show that he is trying to publicly rebuff Trump. That's the reason you didn't get any message that came from, say, like Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif. Prime Minister Modi didn't tweet or anything. After Trump's tweet saying that, claimed that a ceasefire has been brought about by the good offices of his US Secretary of State and Vice President Vance, Shehbaz Sharif, was almost falling at Trump's feet, saying, "Thank you so much. You've given us an opportunity, this and that, and you have got us." I mean, virtually saying, "You got us out of a shit that my army general has created." Now, that kind of thing you did see. There was no reaction from the Indian side. The only reaction I saw was first from the Foreign Secretary, then later by Jaishankar, who made it very clear that this ceasefire was initiated by the Pakistani side, and conditions are very clear. But if there is violation, we are going to go ahead with what we are going to do. That's sum and substance what the Jaishankar tweet was. Now, but the fact that it has fallen apart, I mean, because I was told the Prime Minister's office was very upset that Trump should go about to show that as if they got it done. Because that's not the complete truth. Because we were not seeking ceasefire, whereas Pakistan was seeking ceasefire. But then we were told, last 2-3 days, Saudis, as well as UAE, the Emirates, and of course, Americans themselves were working on Pakistan to show your commitment to fighting terrorism. In the sense, you hand over people who are wanted by India, particularly leaders of the organizations that have been proscribed by the UN agencies, by the UN itself, like 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗙𝗦𝗦.
Next question, please. Venkat Ranga says, any agreement should have a condition that the perpetrators of Pahalgam should be sent to India.
Yes, because there was no other, there was no agreement. And of course, this is just for 48 hours because at 12 o'clock, May 12th, this is going to end. But in the next 2 days, we don't know how the Sunday is going to be.
Oh, so this is an act of war, sir. Beheading two army soldiers in the guise of army uniform. This is an act of war. So all bets are off, in my opinion. Let's see whether India sticks true to its word. Sir, let's go to the next question. Maithili wants to know, Shekharji, what kind of a diplomatic fact that a third country is announcing an official ceasefire?
Absolutely, sir. In fact, a ceasefire between two neighbors like India and Pakistan should have been made by these two countries. And that should have been followed by President Trump, actually hailing it. And then subsequent tweets could have said the role played by America. But here, as usual, Trump is known to break protocols, known to jump guns. Sometimes he jumps where there is no gun. I mean, all these things have happened. So you can see. I mean, sir, we know the kind of what is. In fact, the joke, as soon as somebody heard that Trump, worked out a deal between India and Pakistan, some of the people in Delhi were saying, "Arey, abhi tak to Russia Ukraine ka kar nahi paya, India Pakistan ka kya karega?"
Next one, please. USR wants to know how to convince the US to get on board and get this job done once and for all.
Well, sir, the Americans know that Pakistan establishment is infested with, terror bug. Is infested in the sense their generals and many of their politicians have, made so much of money out of this business called terrorism. And that money has been paid by Americans themselves. Sir, have you ever seen a community that takes money to help catch somebody, that takes money again from that very person to hide him, then again takes money to show his presence to the people who are pursuing him? I'm mentioning the case of Osama. We have good reasons to believe Americans paid Pakistan heavily to apprehend Osama bin. The search for, during the so-called international war on terrorism, which Pakistan was supposed to be a big partner of America. Then they took money from Osama to hide him in Pakistan. The section that took money from him betrayed Osama and showed him where he was in Abbottabad to the Americans. And Americans just had to send their US SEALs in one of our very, very interesting military operations. And who just picked him up when he was having a gala time with his wives and then gave him a watery burial in the Arabian Sea or in the Indian Ocean.
Next question, please. Sir, Nagruta news is fake. I see. Okay. Thank you. Next one, please. Good. Next one, please. Chaitanya Takle wants to know, did Trump offer relief in tariffs in exchange of ceasefire to India? We don't know the details yet, right?
No, I don't think, sir. That's an ongoing process. We have already signed one free trade deal with UK. So the next attention is on the deal with US. I don't think so.
Ravi Kumar wants to know, thank you, Ravi Kumar. Isn't it a good idea to negotiate Indus water against Pak Kashmir aspirations?
Well, sir, this treaty has been a problem since 1960. I mean, even then, nobody still now can figure out why Nehru agreed to give 80% of water to Pakistan and just 20% for India. Well, this is a PIB, I think there was a fact check. I couldn't read it. What does it say?
It says that that operation about 2 army soldiers being killed is
Yes,
fake.
yes. So there's a lot of fake things going on, I think. But
Thank you,
then
Sachin. Yeah.
already what we know is the shelling which is happening, and again our establishments are being targeted. There is a ceasefire. I mean, this could only, if this had been true, it could have only added to more to the gravity of these violations.
Next one, please. Shettigar, thank you so much. We want Yogi to become PM to complete Tetris task. Modi is aging and tiring out quickly.
Well, there is a time and for everything, and nobody can stop an idea or a person whose time has come, whether it's good idea or bad idea.
Pawan Kishore, thank you so much. Why is Bollywoodia now actively tweeting about ceasefire? No shame.
Sir, in fact, was to pointed out that after Pahalgam, there were only, of course, a lot of Bollywood fraternity did tweet about it. But then people are asking, when the army operation started, then there was only a handful of the so-called celebrities who were hailing Indian army action.
Put it back on, please. Thank you so much, Dr. Jagdish Belur. And that brings us to a close of today's program. Thank you so much, Shekharji. We covered a lot of ground, including the fact that ceasefire has been violated by Pakistan again. So we'll have to see how this thing plays out. Tomorrow morning, we'll have more updates. Thanks once again, sir. Namaskar.
Namaskar. Thank you, sir.